everyone. Welcome to Web Tip Wednesday. Today we're going to look at the upsides and the potential downsides of using a password manager. But before we dive in, please go ahead and like this video if you find it helpful, and subscribe to the RunBiz YouTube channel for more weekly web tips. Stories surfaced at the end of 2021 about the popular password manager LastPass having some of its customers' master passwords compromised. Now, their vice president of product management went on to state that these alerts were likely triggered in error due to an issue in the LastPass alerting system that has now been fixed. But this whole situation has caused some hesitation around password managers in general. At RunBiz, we do recommend them. We believe the advantages of password managers outweigh the risk, especially when you secure your account with multi-factor authentication. So let's back up a little bit and start by telling you why password managers are important and a little bit about how they work. The average person has dozens of online accounts and services that they use now or have used in the past. And if you're a business owner or a manager, you probably have way more than that. So obviously, to log into these, you have to use your email address and your password, along with something called MFA now, or multi-factor authentication, where you enter a code from another device to prove it's really you. And these are the main things that stop cybercriminals from accessing your accounts. For a long time now, it's been easy for scammers to get your email address, but in recent years, they've become very sophisticated at guessing passwords, and they actually use automated attack software to do this. For example, they might try a common word attack, where they try thousands of everyday words as the password. And this is one of the many reasons why using your pet's name, your child's name, or even your favorite sports team is not a good idea. They also might try to use a brute force attack, which means they try millions of combinations of characters. But the easiest way for a scammer to get in is to discover a password that you use on one account and then try it on all of your other accounts. So if you reuse passwords, it only takes one service to have a breach, and all of your services are now at risk. Now, there are some best practices for passwords that are very simple, but also very powerful. We recommend that you always use long, randomly generated passwords or password sentences. We recommend you never write down passwords or record them anywhere that's not encrypted. And finally, never use a password, like I mentioned above, for more than one service. Best practice is one thing, but the reality is it's nearly impossible for most people to remember A, what their passwords are, and B, which passwords go with which accounts. And we all know that constantly resetting passwords because you can't remember them is annoying, so people cheat. It's human nature to do this because everybody's looking for ways to make their lives a little simpler. So because of this, some of your team might be using weak passwords, or they might be using the same password across several services, or worst case scenario, we really hope this doesn't happen, but they could be using a strong password, but they leave it on a display or on their monitor with a sticky note. This is where a password manager can come in and take away a lot of the stress and difficulty that are associated with those best practices. They're going to integrate with your computer and your mobile phones, so most of them are compatible with Windows, Macs, and all iOS and Android devices. Whenever you do need a new password, it's going to randomly generate one for you, and it will be very long, and usually it's pretty difficult for the human eye to even read these because there's 16 characters, and they throw in a lot of special characters like $signs, the and sign, and pound signs. Then it actually remembers the password for you, which is the best part. So when you're logging into your accounts, it's going to automatically fill in this information for you. So you can log in without ever actually having to type anything. So if you look at it, you have safety and speed all in one piece of software, which is pretty great. So there's a look at some of the upsides, but are there any downsides to password managers? All of the hesitations really revolve around having all of your passwords in one place. In theory, cybercriminals would only need to break your master password, and then they can get into anything. But of course, there are protections that we always recommend you use, starting with using a very strong master password. And this is because not only does it make it safer, but this is the only password you really need to remember, so make it extra strong. Secondly, it's important to make sure that multi-factor authentication is enabled, like we mentioned earlier, and then when it's available, we recommend you use extra protection like Face ID. So can you eliminate 100% of the risk of using a password manager? No. But is it safer than not using one? We believe so, and that's why we recommend them to our clients. Password managers make good cyber hygiene attainable for busy people. If you want our recommendation on which password managers to check out, get in touch with us and we'd be happy to point you in the right direction.